Pursuant to 725 ILCS 202/50, the checkpoint system has been developed to allow a survivor to track evidence in their case from the time of collection to final court disposition. This video is designed to walk a survivor through the use of the checkpoint system. All information presented in this video is for demonstrative purposes only and does not represent any actual information. At the time of evidence collection, the survivor will be provided a tracking number, which will consist of the letter K and 8 digits, also known as the K number, as well as a 6-digit PIN. This information will be used to access the checkpoint system. As you will see, the K number has been entered as well as the 6-digit PIN. Then we will click Login, and this will provide us access to the checkpoint system. As you will see, the first page, also known as the dashboard, consists of two separate sections, the Overview section and the Summary section. The Overview section, as you will see, has the K number that was used to access the system, today's date, and last visit. This is the last date that K number was used to access the checkpoint system. Then you will see the law enforcement agency assigned to the case, as well as that law enforcement agency's contact information. In the summary view, you will see 5 of the steps that are tracked in the checkpoint system. There are additional steps tracked in the checkpoint system. Those will be accessed through View Detailed History. As you will see also, there are icons. Each one of these icons is a step in the process. By clicking on one of the icons, a pop-up will appear, which will provide additional information regarding that step. These can be accessed both through the summary view and the View Detailed History. By clicking on View Detailed History, you can see the additional steps that are tracked in the checkpoint system. This will be a brief walkthrough of the checkpoint system in which the survivor consented for the evidence received by the law enforcement agency to be submitted to the laboratory for analysis. Again, as I stated, by clicking on any one of the icons, a pop-up will appear with additional information regarding that step. It starts at the collection of the healthcare facility. Evidence is collected at the healthcare facility, and a notification is sent to the law enforcement agency that that healthcare facility has evidence that needs to be picked up. Once the law enforcement agency receives the evidence, this step will list as completed. As you will see here, notification to other jurisdictional law enforcement agency and transfer to other jurisdictional law enforcement agency. If the law enforcement agency that collects the evidence is not the jurisdictional law enforcement agency for the case, the evidence will be transferred to that jurisdictional law enforcement agency. As you will notice in this case, it is no, so there will be no transfer. Then when the law enforcement agency assigns a complaint number, then if the survivor consents for laboratory analysis, this will be marked yes or no. As I stated in this case, the survivor did consent for laboratory analysis, so this is marked as yes, and this is the date in which that consent was received. Then, will the item be submitted to the laboratory is marked as yes, because the survivor did consent for laboratory analysis. Then it will be received by the forensic laboratory. Once the forensic laboratory completes analysis, a laboratory analysis report will be issued. This date will populate. Once the laboratory completes analysis, the report will be sent to the law enforcement agency and/or the state's attorney as appropriate, and these dates will then populate. As you will see here, this will be the survivor is notified of the laboratory results. This is the responsibility of the law enforcement agency to notify the survivor of the laboratory analysis has been completed. Once the law enforcement agency provides the case information to the state's attorney's office, this date will populate. Once the information or the case has been through the complete court system and a final disposition is reached, the state's attorney will complete this section and will list the date in which the final disposition was received. As you will see here, storage required is marked as NA. In this case, because the survivor consented for laboratory analysis, this will not be tracked because the evidence was analyzed. This next example, the survivor did not consent for evidence collected to be submitted to the laboratory for analysis. The survivor will still be provided a K number and 6-digit PIN upon evidence collection. As you will see, the K number and 6-digit PIN have been entered, allowing us access to the checkpoint system. As you will see, the first page, also known as the dashboard, is identical whether the survivor consented for analysis or not. The only difference will be that not all of the steps tracked in the checkpoint system will have completion dates. As you will see, the overview still contains the K number, the law enforcement agency assigned, and the law enforcement agency's contact information. In the summary view, you will see some of the steps, again, that are tracked within the system. For a complete history of the steps that are tracked, you will click on the View Detailed History. Again, by clicking on any one of the icons, a pop-up will appear, which will provide additional information regarding that step of the process. By clicking on the View Detailed History, you will see, again, all of the steps that are tracked throughout the checkpoint system. It starts at collection. Again, notification is sent to the law enforcement agency. It's received by the law enforcement agency. A complaint number is assigned, and as you will see here, in this case, the survivor did not consent for analysis. In this instance, it's marked as no and the date that that consent was received. As you will see here, should a survivor not consent for the item to be tracked and sent to the laboratory for analysis, that is law enforcement agency's responsibility to retain that evidence for at least 10 years or until the 28th birthday of a survivor under the age of 18. Since the survivor did not consent for laboratory analysis to be completed on their evidence, all of the remaining steps will not be completed. However, as you will notice down here where it says storage required, this is the last date that law enforcement is required to hold the evidence. However, should a survivor change their mind and decide to provide consent at any time to have the evidence submitted to the laboratory for analysis, the survivor will have to reach out to the law enforcement agency handling their case and provide that consent. Once consent has been received, the additional steps in the checkpoint system will be displayed at the completion of each one of those steps. If at any time the survivor should lose, misplace their K number, PIN, or have any additional questions regarding their case, please reach out to the law enforcement agency assigned to your case. Thank you.